What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to Clown Questions, the show where there are no dumb questions. I'm your host, Matt K. Maurer, and the question I'm asking today is, who's out? A lot of people. That's kind of a spoiler, but today's show is a good one. We got a mega show. We don't have the King yet. We'll get the King on here next episode. Sorry, King, you're not in this one. Not for a mega show. That'd have to be a major show. But I'm getting off topic. We got a first-year interruption with Mike Tomlin, top 12 Goosebump moment of the weeks. And we'll do my TNF pick. So good show for y'all. Who's down to clown?
That's a clown question, bro.
So who's out? Pretty simple question. Bit of a complicated answer, only because there are a lot of people out, and I put out in air quotes because I'm going to use it a couple different ways here. But who's out? First and foremost, James Franklin. James Franklin, the former Penn State coach, I believe he coached there for a decade. He's been fired by Penn State, and this happened seemingly seconds after their brutal home loss to Northwestern. You lose to Northwestern, but you lost to UCLA the week before. The week before, you lost to Oregon. That's what they always said about James Franklin. He can't win the big game. Well, against UCLA, he couldn't win the medium game, and against Northwestern, he couldn't win the small game, the tiny game, the Northwestern basketball school going up against. Evanston, I was going to say Evanston's a tough place to play, but they were in Happy Valley, which is an even tougher place to play, and they couldn't get it done. So Penn State, justified or not, they fired James Franklin. They thought he could kind of finally maybe get over that hump. If he could just get one big win, maybe we're a playoff team, maybe we're a contender. He got him to, the Final Four in the playoffs last year. But no more. We will have an interim coach. They did name the interim coach. I'm not sure who it is. But yeah, kind of a lost season for Penn State. They're not going to be in the playoffs. They're going to be probably hoping for the Pop-Tart Bowl, because that's the coolest bowl outside of the Rose Bowl, the Orange Bowl, the Peach Bowl. Tostitos Fiesta Bowl it has always got some juice to it. But yeah, that's who's out, James Franklin. Who else is out is Brian Callahan. The Titans have fired him after their 1-5 start. Cam Ward is struggling a bit in his rookie year, but tough to know how much of that is on Cam Ward, how much is on the coaching staff, how much is on Tyler Lockett. I don't know, it's a number 2 receiver, Calvin Ridley. Not a good situation overall in Titans. Interim coach will be Mike McCoy. But yeah, definitely a rebuilding year for the Titans, and I don't know, maybe they should have kept Callahan so they could keep losing to get that draft pick, in the top 5. I think they'll get a top 5 draft pick regardless. So I guess pretty good move for the Titans there, trying to change the culture as Cam Ward develops in the NFL here. Who else is out? We got 6 more answers to this. OBJ, Odell Beckham Jr., he's out because he's been suspended 6 games for PEDs. He accepted the suspension instantly. He didn't appeal it. He didn't try to do any of that. He said, I accept it. I want to serve those 6 games right now. I'm a big OBJ fan, so I think he did it on accident. It was an accidental PED. But yeah, he is currently serving the suspension. And yeah, hopefully a team signs him. I think my Steelers fans in the crowd would like to sign him. But yeah, he won't be able to play for, I don't know if he's on game 2 or 3 of the suspension, but yeah, not until mid-season. But yeah, the suspension was kind of surprising for me to see, because I was like, didn't OBJ retire? Can you suspend someone who retired? But he can't. I don't know. He didn't retire. I just kind of assumed so after, he didn't really get on the field much for the Miami Dolphins last year. But yeah, speaking of people who won't be on the field much, Fred Warner. Sorry. I hate to make light of injuries, but Fred Warner, I don't know if it was a broken ankle or a dislocated ankle, but nonetheless, a devastating ankle injury that will likely keep him out for the rest of this season. The injuries don't stop coming. the injuries don't stop coming for the San Francisco 49ers. Nick Bosa already tore his ACL. That's your top two defensive players right there, and Nick Bosa and Fred Warner. So, I mean, still impressive as hell how Mac Jones has kept the team afloat. I think they dropped one this past Sunday. But, yeah, we'll see if the injured 49ers can somehow keep it rolling. That's a lot of adversity, especially on the defensive side of the ball, although the offense hasn't been much healthier either. I think you get George Kittle back now, but Jawan Jennings, Pearsall have been banged up what feels like all year, as has Brock Purdy. So, yeah, I don't know. The Niners, they're just kind of in limbo. Like, can they overcome the injuries? I don't know, but they're 5-2 right now, 4-2. So they've definitely got a shot to do it. Someone else who's out, Omarion Hampton. Omarion? No, that's the rapper. But yeah, Omarion Hampton has been placed on IR. That keeps him out a minimum of 4 games. Was really excited to get Hassan Haskins in a couple fantasy leagues. Thought he was going to be the de facto starter after Hampton gets sidelined. But it might be Kamani Vidal. So I don't know who's in a fantasy league where Kamani or Hassan would be available. But if they are, pick up probably Kamani first and maybe then go for Hassan Haskins, the former Wolverine. But yeah, I don't know. I think the Chargers will be able to tread water with him as long as they get Omarion back for the latter half of the season and the playoffs. I think the Chargers will continue to be a team to be reckoned with. Another guy who's out is out of the league now because he retired. Zadarius Smith, former Packers legend. I don't know how many people allow me to call him a former Packers legend, and this thing seems to happen a lot in the NFC North especially, but seems like the Packers will cut a player and he'll go right to the Vikings. So I think that's what Zadarius did when we released him. He went to the Vikings, played on the Lions last year. He was on the Eagles this year, who kind of needed his help after, losing Bryce Huff and, a couple pieces on defense, but don't have him anymore. Happy travels in retirement, Zadarius. Despite what Packers fans may say to you, I as a Packers fan, appreciate your service. You and the Smith brothers, Preston and Zadarius Smith. Come on, who doesn't remember that? Those guys were menaces as pass rushers. And, yeah, fun to watch. So happy travels, Zadarius. And happy travels, Brian Branch, who might be going to Cancun because he's got the week off. He's been suspended 1 game. He has appealed the suspension. I don't know if he wins the appeal. Did Brian Branch win his appeal? That's me live Googling whether or not he won this appeal. It says he's 8 hours ago he plans to appeal. So yeah, I don't believe the result of the appeal has been decided yet. But yeah, he got suspended 1 game, I think, for punching Juju Smith-Schuster as time expired. I think the Chiefs had kind of locked up the game and Mahomes was probably kneeling it down or, however the game ended. I forget. There's so many NFL games. I'm struggling to keep up. I need Scott Hansen to spoon feed me every touchdown in order to even pay attention. But that's where I have ADHD, and that's where you get these weird tangents. Brian Branch, yes, suspended 1 game. He appealed. I don't think he'll win the appeal. I don't know. It's tough to if well, Jalen Carter didn't get suspended, but he did get ejected for spitting. So I don't know. Spitting seems more disrespectful. Punching is a little more dangerous. But yeah, I don't expect him to win the appeal. So Brian Branch, maybe take the week off, go to Cancun, go out. And the last answer to this long-winded question of who's out is of excuses, the Edmonton Oilers. Did not phrase that in a comedically written way. But who's out of excuses? The Edmonton Oilers. And why? Because Connor McDavid, the best player in the NHL, signs a completely team-friendly deal. Absolute robbery. Connor McDavid must love the Oilers. He must love the city of Edmonton to take this deal. They signed him to a 2-year, $25 million extension. $12.5 million per year. Now, tough to compare leagues, but $12.5 million per year is probably what Kevin Porter Jr. is making. Not that Kevin Porter Jr. is not a great player, but your best player, the best player in the league getting $12.5 million seems ridiculous, although the NHL money is nowhere close to the money of the NBA, of the MLB, maybe even the NFL for that matter. Definitely, wide receivers are getting $25 million a year, and McDavid, the freaking MVP, is getting that over 2 years for the extension. But the Oilers are out of excuses now. You went to the Cup last year. You went to the Cup the year before that when you lost in 7 games. You lost in 6 games this year, and you're out of excuses because we thought McDavid might have been kaput. Might request a trade. Get the F out of Dodge, but he's not. He's going to stay there. Edmonton, do not fail Connor McDavid. I don't want to say he's not the future GOAT, but one of the GOATs of the sport already. And speaking of GOATs, let me get to my next question. Is A'ja Wilson the GOAT? Yes, unequivocally. Book it, Dano. A'ja Wilson, the greatest basketball player in women's basketball history. In the history of the WNBA, there has never been a better player. Now, I don't have the stats to the number 2 person, but there's not exactly a Jordan, LeBron debate in the WNBA. People bring up Candace Parker, Diana Taurasi. There's some other names that I don't know, but I don't need to even hear it. I don't need to look at the stats. No blind resume needed. A'ja Wilson is the GOAT, and I'll say it. I'll explain why she's a GOAT in a couple sentence fragments. 4 MVPs, 3 championships in 4 years, dynasty. She hit a game winner over a married couple in the WNBA Finals. Depoy, Defensive Player of the Year, MVP, and she just finished a dynasty, and she won Game 3 damn near at the buzzer. I think there's 0.1 on the clock when she hit the shot over a married couple. The Phoenix Mercury, I forget who the exact people were, but we don't need to give them shine. We're giving A'ja Wilson shine. That may be the coldest thing to happen in sports ever. To hit a game winner over a chick and her wife is just hilarious. She got double teamed, but A'ja Wilson is so good that she got the shot off anyways. And yeah, I think she solidified her status as the GOAT. She is the gold standard of WNBA players. That is who people will be chasing. That is who people think Caitlin Clark is chasing right now. I'd like to see Caitlin play for a full season, healthy, see what she can do in the playoffs when she's not a rookie. Way too early to be comparing Caitlin Clark to A'ja Wilson. And this is an excellent point for me to make that, I understand certain players, you don't want to hear from them in the WNBA when they're talking about getting more money. But when A'ja Wilson says she wants more money, she's saying it because she is way better of a player than Caitlin Clark. Is Caitlin Clark better in college? Yes. Does she have a higher ceiling? Maybe. But it's not even close. They're not really in the same Okay, maybe they're in the same stratosphere, but those what I just listed off, 4 MVPs, 3 championships, Defensive Player of the Year in the same year. A'ja Wilson is arguing for more money because she's better than Caitlin Clark, but Caitlin Clark probably makes $10 million a year more. So I can understand why a player like A'ja or Nafisa Collier would be upset because they had been and they're still better than Caitlin Clark, but they're not getting quite the brand deals, the sponsorships that Clark gets. So I understand some of the players being upset. Don't do the lockout. Don't do the lockout. Unfortunately, only way a WNBA lockout would work is if it was concurrent, if it happened at the same exact time as the NBA lockout. And yeah, NBA players don't have any complaints. Ben Simmons made $1 gazillion to play a total of 12 games. So yeah, don't do the lockout, ladies. I don't know if that's going to work. Just figure out a way to fire Kathy Engelbert. That will be the start of the solutions. In other basketball news, 9-time All-Star Russell Westbrook has signed with the Kings. Come on. Why couldn't a better team have signed him? I still want Russ to win a ring. and he just guaranteed he won't win it this year unless he gets traded. So hopefully he gets traded to the Lakers when we win the championship. Knocking on wood, that probably will be my prediction. LeBron goes off into the sunset. But yeah, I love Russell Westbrook. I said Russell Wilson because someone brought this up to me. They said, is Russell Westbrook played himself out of a Hall of Fame career in the same way that Russell Wilson did? And I said, no, absolutely not. I don't know if Wilson did that or not. That's a point for another day. But Westbrook, absolutely not. He's been in the league 18 years, but he has 9 All-Stars. He's got to flip a coin, and he'll be an All-Star. And most triple-doubles of all time. Unequivocally first ballot Hall of Famer, unless maybe he's in the same class as, Steph, Katie, and Bron. But we'll see. Yeah, why did it have to be the Kings? Why couldn't you get him on a contender? Even the Warriors, I would have been more happy with. Just love watching Westbrook play. Well, who knows? Maybe he'll make the Sacramento Kings slightly more watchable this year. Only one way to find out. Last piece of basketball news is Malcolm Brogdon is retiring. Don't have a ton to say on him, but great all-around player. Bucks legend, Pacers legend, Celtics legend. He's a legend for a lot of teams. Maybe legend is he's not a legend like Russell Westbrook is, but like I said, just do-it-all player who kind of elevated any team he was on. So, you would think he could have played longer, but he's deciding to hang it up. Just decided a couple, an hour ago. So, happy trails to Malcolm Brogdon as I continue to steal that, pardon the interruption phrase. But let's get to my next question. Did Jerry Jones flip the bird? If you can see the screen right now, I'm flipping the bird. I don't know if that counts. Does flipping the bird count as needing to put $1 in the F-bomb jar? Because I don't think it does. Although, if you speak ASL, you probably wouldn't be listening to this podcast. 'Cause I don't know. Maybe there's auto-generated captions, so maybe you would be. If you speak sign language, that might count as a F-bomb right there. But, unless someone calls me out, I'm not going to put $1 in there. But yes, Jerry Jones did flip the bird. And how do I know Jerry Jones flipped the bird? Well, there's like a blurry video screenshot. Didn't look like AI. Clearly not AI. And I know it's not AI because the league fined him $250,000. I think they probably had a couple different angles. They're like, yeah, he definitely flipped off these fans. But Jerry Jones, he is an S-tier denier. He may be an idiot when it comes to managing his football team, but he is a master of PR. A couple years ago, it was brought up. Someone took a picture of Jerry Jones, like 25-year-old Jerry Jones, a young Jerry. I don't know how someone found this, but he was outside, I believe, of an elementary school protesting Ruby Bridges, the first black kid to ever go to a white school. and that came up, and somehow nothing came of it. No one gave I think people gave a fuck. They called Jerry Jones racist, but there is an F-bomb. I did say the F word. Did I just say it twice there? Give an F, give a F-U-C-K. We'll put a Post-it note in there as a placeholder. But back to Jerry Jones, that Ruby Bridges thing, he found a way, he circumvented getting canceled, which, it doesn't, I'm not going to say it doesn't take much, but it's hard to overcome a canceling. And the way Jerry Jones did it was just didn't comment on it. Just never brought up, didn't make a statement. He probably paid the reporters to not ask him about that. But back to flipping the bird, he definitely did it. Fined $250K for it. And S-tier denier Jerry Jones said it was meant as a thumbs up. Yeah, Jerry, I don't know how bad your arthritis is or how, latent your motor functions are, but there is no way you could accidentally thumb up your middle finger instead of your thumb. There's just no way. You flipped them off. Easy yes to that question. Jerry Jones flipped the bird. And speaking of birds, the Packers will be playing the Cardinals this week. But Jonathan Gannon, this is a mega show, so I'm covering stuff over a little bit of time. So the Cardinals played a game in between this whole fiasco. But if you didn't see the Titans-Cardinals game from 2 weeks ago, Mr. Amari DiMercato, waiver pickup of the week, had a great touchdown. I think an 80-yard, 70-yard touchdown. And just before he crossed the goal line, he did the classic Deshaun Jackson, went, "Let's go!" And as he lets go, the ball flew through the back of the end zone. Upon replay review, he did not cross the goal line before doing so. Touchback, Tennessee Titans ball. Titans go on to get their first win in, a 10 straight loss streak. But I bring that up because Amari DiMercato, after fumbling, which, obviously is a play that kind of lost him the game. Not to mention that interception they fumbled, but kind of the play that lost them the game. And Jonathan Gannon firmly put himself on the hot seat by, going up to a player who fumbled and screaming. That's normal coach behavior, but he kind of smacked him, and they smacked him again. It kept smacking him, smacked Amari DiMercato probably 6 times and kept walking. And the Cardinals fined him. The Cardinals fined Jonathan Gannon $100K, 100,000 big ones. Setting a bad example for the team there, Jonathan. I thought he was gonna let DiMercato get into the end zone as a little makeup, kiss and makeup type of deal. He did not, but I'm hoping the Packers play so well this Sunday that I'm not rooting for Gannon to get fired, but seems like he's on his way there. I just hope the Packers win handily, because I'd like to see the Packers blow some teams out. I feel like we're kind of due for that. As I ask the question about the team we just played, little too close for comfort. Are the Bengals elite again? Yes. Obviously, the answer is yes. Yes, the Packers did beat them this past Sunday. The Joe Flacco led Bengals. That's why I asked the question, old question from 2 weeks ago. But of course I asked it because the Bengals traded a 5th round pick for Joe Flacco and a 6th. They got Joe Flacco for a pick swap. The Browns don't give an F. They don't care. And Mike Tomlin's a little mad about this trade, as I can understand. It's an intra-division trade, and the Browns really didn't get much back in return. They upgraded their 6th into a 5th, but the Browns don't care. They're not making the playoffs. They're in rebuild mode perpetually, so they don't care that the Steelers are going to have a harder time beating the Bengals. The Browns know they're losing to the Bengals with or without Joe Flacco. So yeah, they make the trade and they make the Bengals elite. Packers played them tough for most of the game. We kind of let them get back into it at the end, probably due to Carrington Valentine's gritty. I respect the move, Carrington. Obviously, shades of Jair Alexander when he gritted on Justin Jefferson. But, yeah, you gritted on Jamar Chase. And granted, it wasn't scored on you. But what happened the very next play? He scored, Jamar Chase. And then he got to do his gritty. But, yeah, Bengals, big Thursday night matchup against the Steelers this week. With an elite quarterback like Joe Flacco, they definitely have a fighting chance. Speaking of someone else who has a fighting chance, the Milwaukee Brewers, who I am sporting in this sweatshirt that is collecting sweat as I sit here and talk. But my question is, what's brewing? What's brewing? If you're on Brewers Twitter, you've seen the hashtag Magic Brew. That's what's brewing, magic. Now, I know what you're thinking. Matt, don't say ish about the Brewers. You're going to jinx us. You've been jinxing us all playoffs. I don't know. We won the Cubs series, but apparently I didn't jinx much in that. I got in trouble for calling a jinx because I clapped before a pop fly was caught, but I'm like, I knew that was a routine play. I can't clap, but I will reserve my claps for the end of plays or the middle of plays that are doing well. Make sure he catches the ball first. But what's brewing magic? I don't care that the Brewers are down 0-2. Of course, yes, of course I care that we're down 0-2, but I don't care that we're down 0-2. We are a damn good baseball team. If we could go 6-0 against this team in the regular season, we can win 4 out of 5 in the playoffs. Of course, I'm referencing the Dodgers Brewers series, and it's going to be tough. Blake Snell shut us down in game 1. Yamamoto pitched a complete game yesterday. Only thing we could get going was a Churio leadoff homer. It was literally the first pitch, the Brewers saw, and it went yard. And then after that, I think we had 2 hits, just not good. But if we can get those bats going, we still have an elite pitching staff, especially our bullpen. Peralta, tough game, but I'm not blaming the pitchers for any of that. You can't score 2 runs in 2 games and really expect to win. But I'll say it. Magic is still brewing because Bob Uecker is writing the script. And I'll tell you what, if Bob Uecker was writing the script, we all know what the ending would be. But if he was the one writing the script, which I think he is based on how much magic we've seen from the Brewers this year, he wouldn't want it to be a cakewalk. You think Bob Uecker, if he wrote this script, he'd have us sweep the Cubs 3-0, sweep the Dodgers 4-0. We don't even need to mention that word because I don't want to jinx it. No, he wouldn't. So keep the faith, Brewers fans. Keep believing. Any Brewers fans out there in Los Angeles, I was about to say buy a ticket to the game and show out, but that shit's probably way too expensive. But it doesn't matter because there are probably 0 of my podcast fans in LA who are Brewers fans. Actually, I can maybe think of 1 or 2, but they probably don't listen to the podcast. They were just friend. Oh, a customer added a tip on my old order. But yeah, Magic's brewing. I went to 2 of the games in the 5-game series against the Cubs. I went to Brewer game 2. And guess who I saw there? Ploff Warrior, the guy who I just had on the podcast 2 weeks ago. I promise this wasn't planned. No one believes me. Tolls won't believe me when I say it was totally unplanned. Yes, I did tell Ploff where in the stadium I was sitting, but he didn't have tickets until the day of the game, and he got those tickets randomly from a coworker. And I swear, I sat down in the down the left field line. And who walks in but Ploff Warrior sits right next to me. He's like, I swear that I did not plan this. So pretty cool. Sitting next to Ploff Warrior. We were jumping and hugging on every home run. That was the Vaughn home run, the big 3-run shot. Churio, I think, had another 3-run shot. Contreras. That was an awesome game to be at. One of the most electric environments I've been to. Jack DePoe said it was a top 5 sporting event he's ever been to. I'm sure me and Ploff would agree. But yeah, great game to be at. I just wanted to kind of recap that a little bit. And then for game 3, I went again. I went to game 3, but game 3 wasn't in Milwaukee. It wasn't at Miller Park. It was at Wrigley Field. So really cool experience for me there. Got to go to Wrigley Field. Had never been to it. I've unlocked 2 out of the 30 major league ballparks. I'd like to go to all of them. Really sad I can't go to the Coliseum. Frick you, John, owner, whatever your name is, who moved the Athletics to Vegas. But yeah, really cool venue at Wrigley Field. I was a little worried I was going to get heckled a lot. I got heckled a little, but I was worried, the Cubs fans would just be brutal, just, hurling epithets in my direction. Nothing too bad. Only a couple assholes there that I met. One guy, a little weird, tapped me, kind of patted me on the back 3 times like he was Jonathan Gannon in the bathroom. And I feel someone patting me on the back. I'm like, okay, this is either someone randomly that I know that I ran into, or it's a Brewers fan. I look, it's a Cubs fan. I'm like, dude, why are you patting people on the back in the bathroom? Pretty weird. But yeah, Wrigley Field's cool. Confines are friendlier than I expected, aside from that, that one guy in the bathroom. But yeah, it was a tough loss. We lost that game 3-4. Quinn Priester got hammered. Jake Bauers had a huge home run. Grant Anderson, huge pickoff at first. Pretty crazy game. I thought the Brewers were going to get back into it. We had the bases loaded for Bauers again, but it's like Bauers just hit a home run. Now you want him to deliver with the bases loaded. Lot to ask from one guy. All the Brewers need to get their bats going. Yelich, I'm definitely not talking about you Wink, wink. But yeah, tough game to be at as a Brewers fan. Tough loss. Had to, as soon as that game ended, just avoiding the Cubs fan. I got to get the F out of here. But what hurt the most about that loss that I witnessed live at Wrigley was the drive home. And it wasn't that bad of a drive. There wasn't that much traffic, only a 2-hour drive, not too bad. But what hurt was sitting in traffic and seeing one of those stupid little, what is it, a bike carousel, a bike with a burly. People try to skirt the traffic because, you just sit in the back of this little carriage and a guy bikes you through town. What hurt the most was, obviously there's some Cubs fans on this bike, going to whatever bar or whatever Illinoisans do. And I see this little kid and I'm like, okay, whatever, he's chill. And I just hear him start going crazy, just making weird sounds. Don't look at him. Can't look at him. The bike goes a little bit in front of me to where the kid can make eye contact with him, and just the biggest shit-eating grin. He didn't even talk shit to me. He just started laughing. He just made eye contact with me and started laughing. And that's what hurt the most. All I could do is sit there in traffic and be like, good one. Like, there's no, is it even trash talk to just laugh? I think it is. Laughing is almost worse than trash talk, because it's like, I can't even respond to this. I'm just pissed at this person who's just laughing at my pain. But that's all right. Brewers got Game 5 in Milwaukee. They won it. Now we're in the NLCS against the Dodgers, and yeah, it looks tough right now. We're down 0-2. We can't get a hit. Their aces are acing, but even though we pitched 2 of our aces, we got some more. We got one of the best bullpens in all of Major League Baseball, and hey, it ain't over till it's over. It ain't over till the fat lady sings. That's what my dad always told me. So keep the faith, Brewers fans. Don't give up. Game 3 is huge. So let's go win that one and turn this series around. So go, Brew Crew. I'm not jinxing nothing. I'm just saying, believe. You gotta believe. Speaking of believing, maybe don't always believe everything you hear. This one is kind of believable because of some of the evidence we have. But again, don't believe everything you hear, especially from this podcast. Look at this guy. Look, I'm wearing like a bandana, like I think I'm a biker, even though I'm terrified to get on a motorcycle, and a hoodie. But I don't know. I'm kind of stalling because this is a tough question. Is Mark Sanchez going to jail? Maybe. The key word here is maybe. That's really important for me to say and to keep saying going forward when we don't have all the facts on a scenario. So it was reported, a week and a half ago that Mark Sanchez was stabbed. And I reacted quickly. I tweeted out prayers up for Mark Sanchez. But then a day later, it comes out, Mark Sanchez is in the hospital. He's doing great, but he got arrested. So basically what people think happened was Mark Sanchez was apparently running wind sprints in an alley. I don't know. Delivery man came there, and apparently the delivery man stabbed Sanchez. But because Sanchez got arrested, they think Sanchez and one of his friends might have started beating the shit out of this dude. So the guy stabbed him in self-defense. But all I can say here is Mark Sanchez got stabbed, and then he got arrested, and he's being accused of beating this guy up, and the stabbing was in self-defense. That's what we know right now, but we haven't had a court case. We haven't had, actual investigators look at all the evidence. So I just wanted to say maybe and kind of talk about the importance of not jumping to conclusions, because another piece of news that came out was very, very sad, and it was about Kyron Lacey. So if you hadn't heard about Kyron Lacey before, he was a wide receiver for LSU, one of the best receivers in the country, projected to be a high, probably first, second round NFL draft pick. And then he was accused of a hit and run, a fatal hit and run, or being involved in a fatal crash. And that tanked his NFL draft stock. He basically, people assumed he wasn't going to get drafted. But I think before the draft even started, or maybe it was after. Not really relevant either way. I mean, somewhat relevant. But then Kyron Lacey killed himself. He committed suicide, and this past week or the week before that, it came out that investigators said, hey, we have the footage from the crash now, and we can see here that Kyron Lacey's car is like 20 yards behind the crash. He wasn't involved in it at all. So it's just a really horrible thing. He basically died thinking the world hated. I mean, not probably being right. A lot of people were upset at him, obviously, for thinking he killed a guy. And, he took his own life because of how horrible of a situation that is. Not only someone losing their life before he took his, but, people accusing him of something he didn't do. And that had to have driven him crazy. But yeah, I brought up this Kyron Lacey thing in the Mark Sanchez talk because I just wanted to talk about the importance of not jumping to conclusions. So I did go back in my notes. I wanted to check to see, because I saw Pat McAfee's apology. I want to see, did I say anything about Kyron Lacey? Because a lot of times on the show, I'll make light of situations that I really shouldn't be making light of. And I made light of the initial report. So I wanted to say I'm sorry for that. I believe where I was talking about him was a question where it was like, where'd he transfer to? And it was one of my classic bait and switch questions where I talk about one guy and then say, oh, and this guy, and they're unrelated. But I said, where'd he transfer to? And I said, Carson Beck transferred to Miami. And then I went on to say Kyron Lacey transferred to Louisiana State Penitentiary. So it's really, there's nothing really I can say but try to take some accountability here and say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to Kyron Lacey. I'm sorry to Kyron Lacey's family and friends, and anyone who heard me making that joke. And it's the apology is nowhere near sufficient because it can't bring him back. He passed away, obviously. So yeah, it's just I'm gonna take it upon myself to do a better job of reading into stories. I do like doing the headline reading because then I can just kind of ramble and try to make something funny out of it. But for something serious like that, I need to not jump to conclusions. I guess I didn't learn my lesson when I was calling Terrence Shannon a sick F word. I called him that because he had been accused of rape. Came out, he was probably innocent. I did apologize to him on the show, but that's just another example of where you shouldn't jump to conclusions. All I should have said when I brought up that Kyron Lacey story is he's been accused of this. But we don't know. We don't have all the evidence. We're not investigating. They're going to court with this. So we really shouldn't be jumping to these conclusions. I shouldn't be jumping to these conclusions. And yeah, I'm sorry for that. Sincerely, I apologize, and I will do a better job in the future of making sure I have all the facts before, I jump to, a conclusion. And, I got to stop making light of really serious situations. Not everything on this show has to be funny as you hear my serious little thing. But yeah, I just kind of think it's a situation where the news cycle today is so short that you'll hear something and it'll just kind of get logged in the back of your mind. You'll be like, oh, Kyron Lacey was involved in a fatal crash. But the news, the next news you might have heard about Kyron Lacey is he killed himself. So you might not have known, you might not have learned a single thing in between those two, events. So it's just the news cycle is so short that we'll hear one thing and we'll take it for fact. So we got to stop doing that as a society. And, obviously that's a lot to ask with the way the news media and clickbait and everything is nowadays. But yeah, again, I sincerely apologize. And I know I only have 50 subscribers. 50 subscribers is not many at all. But I still have a responsibility to not spread misinformation, to not, jump to a conclusion like that. Regardless, even if my podcast gets 10 views, those are 10 views of people who might have taken away from that. Oh, Kyron Lacey killed this person. So it's really important to make sure I get things right, especially the important things like this. Even if, I mean, I have my highest viewed podcast is probably 500. I don't think the Kyron Lacey, the one I mentioned him, had that many, but it is important, even with, as few views as 500, those are 500 people who, even though they know it's a facetious show and I might not be the best source, they might hear something and log it back in the back of their brain subconsciously and, use that information later on. So yeah, that's hate to get serious on you guys. It is a mega show. So, most of it, hopefully was pretty funny, but, yeah, just kind of wanted to take some accountability and apologize and tell y'all I'm gonna do better. I'm gonna do better in the future, and make sure I have a story fully fleshed out before I jump to conclusions, or at the very least, if I'm gonna mention a story that's very difficult to even talk about, I'm gonna make sure not to make light of it, and also. What was I going to say? Not to make light of the situation, and also just report the facts that we know. So Mark Sanchez, yeah, we think maybe he beat this guy up and the stabbing was self-defense, but that's just our surface level understanding of the situation. All we know is he got stabbed and he got arrested, but there's so much more that'll probably come out of the situation. Maybe there's some TMZ footage, but yeah, it's just important sometimes, definitely important to get things right. And yeah, sorry to get serious on you guys. Let's have a little more fun and move on here. Get to our first segment of the day, which is First Your Interruption with Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin and the Steelers tomorrow. They are playing Thursday Night Football on redacted video. Frick you, Jeff Bezos. But, yeah, they're playing the Bengals, and a reporter wanted to ask him about Joe Flacco, and his response was kind of interesting, kind of funny, maybe some bulletin board material. So let's hear what Mike Tomlin has to say about Mr. Joe Flacco on this week's First Interruption. Thanks, Mike.
What did you make of the rarity of seeing an interdivisional trade of an experienced quarterback inside the division?
To be honest, it was shocking to me. Andrew Berry must be a lot smarter than me or us, because it doesn't make sense to me to trade a quarterback that you think enough of to make your opening day starter to a division opponent that's hurting in that area. But that's just my personal feelings.
When the Bengals acquired him, knowing what you know about Zach and how he likes to run his offense, like from Cincinnati's perspective, did it make sense for them?
It certainly made sense from Cincinnati's perspective.
It certainly made sense from Cincinnati's perspective. They needed a quarterback. Jake Browning wasn't cutting it for them. But yeah, pretty funny for Tomlin to say. I don't understand it from the Browns' perspective. It makes no sense. What's his name? The GM, Andrew Berry, or whatever he said. I don't. Why would you trade your starting quarterback to a division opponent? Well, it's because the Browns don't give an F. They're rebuilding. They know they're at least a year and a half away from having a half decent football team. So why do they care if they're making the Bengals better in the short term? They don't. The Steelers do. But yeah, it is pretty funny that the Browns made the Bengals elite for a 6-5 pick swap. Like, that's it. But yeah, I don't know. At Tomlin, you got to be a little careful. I kind of misread this quote at first. I thought it was maybe giving some bulletin board material to Flacco. It's actually not a diss to Joe Flacco at all. They were just dissing the GM. So I guess bulletin board material for the Cleveland Browns GM, that he's going to draft another quarterback, draft another 2 quarterbacks in next draft. That'll show him. That'll show Mike that take a 5th round quarterback. Be like, we wouldn't have gotten this guy without that pick. That's a big brain move. No, but I think it'll be Shador. But yeah, I'm really excited for that Bengals Steelers matchup with Mr. Joey Flacco. But let's get to everybody's favorite moment of the week, the Goosebump moments of the week. Technically 2 weeks. I should have 2 weeks worth. I have 12 moments, so probably not as many as I should have, but it doesn't matter. They're the 12 best ones, probably. I don't know. I haven't been locked in on college football this year, so I definitely missed a couple there, but number 2 one was from college football and was incredible, but these are kind of the last 2-ish weeks, but we'll just call it the top 12 Goosebump moments of the week. Starting off at number 12, Joey Sly sneaks in the walk-off field goal that snaps the Titans' 10-game losing streak for Cam Ward's first ever NFL win.
Hecker, the holder, Morgan Cox, the long snapper. The kick from Sly is good. And the Tennessee Titans end their 10-game losing streak.
Number 11, Chase McLaughlin hits the walk-off field goal as the Bucs win a shootout.
And Tampa Bay will win it on a walk-off 39-yard field goal. What an incredible season they have put together.
Number 10, Andres Borregales nails a 52-yarder as the Patriots upset the Bills.
Dallas nails it, and the Patriots take the lead with 15 seconds remaining.
Number 9, Josh Naylor completes an unassisted double play as Seattle wins Game 3.
Bag to double up. Ibanez at first, and the ball game is over. The Mariners win it tonight. A final score of 8-4 over the Tigers. They lead the best-of-5 series.
Number 8, Jordan Addison scores the game-winning touchdown in London Town, mate.
5, Addison, he's got it, touchdown.
Number 7, Zach McKinstry rips the Game 3 winning single in the 11th.
And there is a base hit with a
Tigers
man aboard.
win.
Sneaks it through the middle. Torkelson will score. And right on cue, the Tigers take the lead. McKinstry delivers in the 11th.
Number 6, the 49ers stop the Rams on 4th down to win it in OT.
Looked like he didn't have the ball is out. When did it come out? The 49ers think they have stopped them short. They're already on the field. They're already celebrating.
Number 5, Trevor Lawrence falls down twice en route to a game-winning touchdown.
To get up. Breaks a tackle. Touchdown, Jacksonville.
Number 4, the Dodgers walk off a series on an error.
Hess breaks his bat. Kirkring gotta find it. Throws to the plate. Oh my goodness! He throws it away, and the Dodgers have won. The Dodgers win, and they are moving on to the NLCS in a most improbable finish.
Number 3, Asia Wilson hits the clutch game winner in Game 3 of the finals.
The feed.
You bet! You bet! Asia Wilson with .1 to go puts the Aces in front by 2.
Number 2, Jimmy Kibble mosses a defender as time expires to give Georgetown a Hail Mary win.
There's Kibble. He makes the catch, and the Lions will win it at the buzzer. Oh my goodness, Jimmy Kibble comes down with it, and the Hoyas have pulled off a miracle on the hilltop on homecoming.
Number 1 moment of the week, Jorge Polanco walks it off in the 15th inning to send Mariners to the ALCS.
To the American League Championship Series for the first time in 24 years.
My sincerest apologies to anyone whose speakers were blown out on that Jimmy Kibble Hail Mary. I turned the volume down because I was, it sounded horrible because it's Georgetown football. They don't have enough money for microphones. It's all going to the basketball program. Jimmy Kibble, by the way, not Kimmel. Jimmy Kibble mossing that defender for the Hail Mary. Pretty sick. Jorge Polanco in the 15th inning. That was one of the most entertaining baseball games I've ever watched. I don't think I turned the game on until the 9th. I might have been working, but sends the Mariners to the ALCS. I didn't even mention the Mariners Blue Jays series, but that should be a good one to decide who goes to the World Series. And Jorge Polanco, man, not just that walk-off. He's had timely hit after timely hit in this postseason. So Mariners up 2-0 in that series. And with guys like Jorge Polanco and Cal Raleigh, they've got a pretty good chance. The Dodgers, why'd they have to win like that? Man, I hate putting errors in the top 10 Goosebump moments because that's not a moment you want to remember. That's a moment you want to forget, but it's an unforgettable moment. I mean, that Bill Buckner is the last time something like that happened in baseball, winning the game on an error, essentially. So feel really bad for the Phillies reliever who just had a lapse in judgment. He panicked, should have thrown it to first, but he threw it home instead. So that's how the Phillies get eliminated. But let's hope these Brewers eliminate the Dodgers. Believe, Milwaukee. Believe. Only other thing I wanted to mention from the Goosebump moments of the week was Asia Wilson. Cold. Game 3 of the WNBA Finals. A married couple in your face, and you're just unfazed. You hit the game winner. So that was awesome. What's also awesome, or at least I think is going to be awesome, is Thursday Night Football. I think this is going to be a good game. So let me give y'all my TNF pick. This week's Thursday Night Football game is Steelers -5.5 at the Bengals. Steelers at Bengals. Steelers are 5.5-point favorites. Thursday Night Football. But my pick here is going to be, I want to say Steelers money line. I think the Steelers will win, but that's minus money. So we'll go something with a little bit better of odds. Well, this is minus money too, but better odds. I'll take Bengals +5.5. I think the Steelers win, but I think the Bengals keep it close. Steelers maybe win by a field goal or, a safety or two. But yeah, I'm pretty confident the Steelers win in this one. Trey Hendrickson is questionable. That offense with Aaron Rodgers has been humming. They have 3 very capable tight ends, a capable wide receiver, 2 good running backs. I mean, those Steelers are gonna be tough to beat. I thought they were a contender preseason. People didn't believe me. Paul Warrior 2 weeks ago, I said that he didn't believe me. Well, maybe I didn't say I think they're gonna win a playoff game. Can they win 4, though? That's always the question. But back to Steelers-Bengals. Trey Hendrickson is questionable in this one, which will give the Steelers a bit of an edge. And I know, I probably shouldn't be talking shit here considering my team lost to the Joe Flacco-led Browns. But I do think this game is a lot closer than we all think it will be. And while they may not win, while the Bengals may not win, I'm certain. I don't script these out. These are off the dome. While the Bengals may not win, I'm certain that after the game, everybody is going to be asking, is Joe Flacco still elite?